70 people with us today. We're going to talk about Banksy. Barbara, I know you have a lot of questions about our programs. I will make sure that someone gets back to you and answer all those questions properly, okay? So hello, my name is Ruth. Most of you already know me. And I am the academic manager at MLA. So today we're going to talk about Banksy. Let me get this started because I don't have Josh with me. I know a lot of you already know Josh and you probably miss him, but I'll be doing this on my own today. Okay, so let's get started. Right, so as usual, you will receive a certificate of participation and a webinar handout in the next few days. If you don't receive it, email us at formazione@mlaworld.com. And please don't worry about anything because the handout will contain all the important information from this webinar, plus useful links and any worksheets that we'll be showing today. Okay, so let's see if I can make this work on my own. Fantastic. So the objectives of today's session are that by the end of this session, we hope that teachers will be better able to take inspiration from resources around them, guide students in expressing their opinions, help students in analyzing artwork as a resource. So first of all, before we start, I would like to thank Francesca Tamani, who designed these activities and run a very similar session on Banksy about a year and a half ago, and I believe she's with us today. So I hope we managed to communicate her ideas and add more things to it. So basically, guide students in expressing their opinions. I think this is all about critical thinking skills. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Banksy. I particularly really like the artist. But let's talk about him a little bit. So basically, the idea is that there are many resources all around us, and the key is choosing one that will get students talking, because that's what we want in class. We want our students to chat, and we want to give them something that is relevant for them to talk. And art is a good talking point. And what's better? It is a way to get students activate their critical thinking skills. And Banksy, look at this graffiti. There's no better way. So while Banksy is famous for his graffiti, his work is always meaningful and relevant. He always touches, he or they, we don't know, sorry. This is something always his. We don't know whether this is a man, this is a collective. This is kind of tricky still. So, but their work is always relevant and is always related to what's happening around us. And this paves the way for students to express their opinions, both in writing and orally. So we're going to try and promote production in English from students. So who is Banksy? Does anybody know? Does anybody have any ideas? Let's see what you say in the chat. Yes, I'm sure we've seen their work, but we don't know who is the person behind it, which is quite interesting, isn't it? It still remains a mystery. There are loads of different approaches to this, but still, no one has claimed to be Banksy. Let's read this from Banksy. Writing graffiti is about the most honest way you can be an artist. It takes no money to do it. You don't need an education to understand it. There's no admission fee, and bus stops are far more interesting and useful places to have pictures than in museums. I think that's a very interesting reflection, isn't it? That's great, Emilia. We do not know, but we like the artist. I agree. Same here. So, this is kind of the spirit of graffiti, isn't it? That it is available, it's around us, we can see it. Therefore, we can enjoy it. We don't have to pay to actually look at it, observe it, and enjoy staring at it and making our own reflections. So, basically, we can actually activate our students' knowledge of the world and their production in English to help them write about graffiti. So, to expand on the topic of graffiti and whether it's art or a crime, vandalism, you can get students to write a news article. I think this works really well. I think students are basically very, very interested in graffiti. This is something they can relate to. It is around them. And it is considered a crime. So why don't we ask our students to reflect upon that? Tiziana, fantastic, in your own town. I lived for a very long time in Brighton, so I've seen a lot of Banksy around. And I'm old enough to have seen them when he wasn't, or they weren't famous. So it's always been a pleasure, and it's always made us laugh a little bit as well. So, have them think or research a piece of graffiti and write an article about how badly or how well it was received. There is a lot of information online, and it's a good idea to get our students interested in reading in English and in actually doing a little bit of research and then express it with their own words. These will get students think creatively and work on expressing themselves. They're going to have to read, research, look at a piece of graffiti they're interested in, and then question whether it is a crime and it is okay for it to be a crime. So we're going to help our students to critically think about what their opinion is and express it. Sorry, I think, lovely. Excellent, Maria, that you have actually read about him at school. That's fantastic. So analyzing a piece of art, this is something that we can get our students to do as well, especially with some sort of art that they can relate to, that is not in a museum, it's not something they need to study about before they actually think about it. They can have an opinion, form an opinion, enjoy it. Let's take a look at this. Another writing exercise which can be done is an analysis of a piece. What I would do is prior to writing, these can be discussed as a class or in pairs and small groups. So take a piece, for example, this one, and analyze it. So first of all, you can discuss with the class. Having discussions beforehand will help students feedback from peers, create a collective opinion, help each other, make sure that they don't need to be an expert to think about this. This in turn will help them with their persuasion skills as they try to convince people of their views on their artwork. So if they're really sure of what they think, they can actually try and convince others. And this is really good exercise in speaking. We only need to make sure we give them enough sentences that are straightforward for them to get their message across and convince others. So does anyone know the reason behind these P's? Tell us in the chat. What do you think this was for? Um, so anybody, any ideas? Fabulous, great ideas. Fantastic ideas. COVID periods, very well. So who are the real superheroes here? Who were the real superheroes during COVID? So he always takes, I keep saying he, they always take a stance when it comes to social issues. So let's take these P's, for example, and then analyzing a piece of art. Another idea could be prior to your students writing their analysis, give them to think about the following questions. So they can actually think about them, do a little bit of research, and then they start analyzing the piece. And then you can actually get them to discuss. So what does the picture represent? What can you see in the picture? Describe it. This is very good for lower levels as well, because they will be able to identify colors, figures, um, clothes, that sort of thing. So let's not focus it on higher levels only. We can do a lot with this for lower levels. Is there a predominant color? Let me check. Oh, fantastic ideas. Make sure everyone is reading the chat. We've got really good ideas here. Tiziana said, I planned a street art tour in town and my students chose one of them to tell the other mates. Fabulous if you have the chance to do that. I visited a museum, that Benedetta says, dedicated to these artists in Krakow with my students last month. And they all found it really inspiring, fabulous. But if you don't have the chance to do it face to face, you can always show them a piece of art. So, do you find it realistic? These are the kind of questions we can use to activate their critical thinking skills, their knowledge, and their interest. How would you define this picture? How would you describe it? What do you think the picture is? Do you know the name of the artist? What's their style? And that's where we can actually ask them to do a little bit of research. When was it painted? So once we have activated the information they can get from the picture, we can ask them to actually collect this information. Where is it now? Is it still in the stream? Is it still free to see it? Do you like it? Why? Also, personal opinions work really well. Remember, there is a worksheet in a handout. Lovely. Valeria said that also in Catania they had an exhibition about Banksy. So it's a good opportunity. You can actually take your students to a museum. That's great. Or even a walking tour. I love that idea, especially in the UK. So also the extension activity. So for example, take Banksy, take what they researched about Banksy after they've activated all the critical thinking skills. They've thought about it, they've put it in writing, they've done some research, so they know now a little bit more about the artist. So rather than just focus on one topic, why not look at a particular style, movement, or the role art plays in society? They can do a little bit of research and then put it in their own words in English. This might be more suitable for higher levels, of course, but sometimes we have lower levels who are very good at receptive skills. They can read very well, they just struggle with speaking. So we can actually, if we see that we have a class that can deal with challenging reading, we can do it for them as well. But with the right language, exactly, younger students should be able to research and express their opinions. When they're talking, they can make it simple, but they will. The idea with these activities is they work on them beforehand. They put a lot of time reading, researching, rewording. So when they're going to talk about it, they are prepared. So they only need to focus on fluency. There are some examples of the following pages. So, for example, we can take this piece of work and we can talk about street art and we can scaffold the activity for our students. So, an artist and I like and why. We can choose one. We can ask them to choose one. How people can enjoy art and they can research about this. Apart from their own ideas, they can actually go and check if there's anything else they don't know about, because they might not be familiar with enjoying art and how fun that can be. The messages given, what do they think the message behind it is? And what art critics and other people thought the message behind it is. And of course, the description of a picture. And again, this is very suitable for lower levels and it's very good for preparation, exam preparation for B1, Cambridge B1 exams. For example, this one, visit historic Palestine. Very interesting, very ironic. So in arts, graffiti, when did the movement start? They can do a little bit of research about this. When did the movement start? Where did the movement start? Where did graffiti start? And what is the music related to graffiti? For example, there is certain hip hop related to certain areas where graffiti has historically been important. So that ties in really nicely, and the technology associated with it. I'm not very aware of the new technologies that graffiti artists use, but stencils have been around for a very long time, and Banksy is very good at stencils. So we can create a nice project on Banksy if we use this guide. You will have access to the recording of the webinar in our YouTube channel. So they generally get posted after 2 weeks, okay? No problem at all. Keep your questions coming. I don't mind stopping and answering your questions. Another really good one, I particularly like this piece of work. It is very representative to see all the corporations in there. And then a helpless child. So art in society, how we can relate this, and Banksy is very good for this. We can actually talk about art and propaganda, and there is a lot in Banksy here and different ideas and how we relate them to recent movements and controversies behind them, and different contemporary artists as well. Then art in society, famous buildings. Is art always hosted in famous buildings? Is it hosted in museums and galleries only? Is there a bit of both? Are they free? Are they accessible? So this is something we can use in another project to activate our students' critical thinking. Yes, I know. He's a victim of napalm. Absolutely. Okay. So themes in Banksy's work. So, for example, we can take an example like here. So, rather than concentrate on the art itself, you can get your students to look into the theme of the piece. So, what's happening in here? We can definitely link to history, Barbara. This is the idea in the previous slides. We can link it to history, geography, controversial issues, different topics related to society. I think Banksy allows for that, but there are other artists. So we can even expand the activity. We can start from Banksy and then get our students to do a little bit of research and see if other artists have gotten involved in that particular piece of history or controversial topic. I think that's very, very interesting to explore with students, especially if we see that they are enjoying the activity, which is also a good opportunity. I think students will relate to this more than they will relate to I don't know, middle age art. So again, rather than concentrate on the art itself, get your students to look into the theme of the piece. And then start by asking them why so much of his work has children in it. What's the point? Why do you think Banksy uses this? This is very interesting. They will expand on their critical thinking skills as well, and then we can help them with the language. You know that at MLA, we love the task-based learning approach. So it's all about setting up a nice project, activating the students' knowledge of the world so that they can relate to a project that is meaningful for them, that they want to do, and then they will be able to talk because they want to communicate the message. So we kind of creating the need for the language with the project. And then we come in as facilitators and help them with the language they may need to be able to communicate with each other. That's true, Antonella. I think that is true, and that's why we need to choose carefully. And also, depending on the sort of setting, Banksy has worked a lot on gay prints, gay rights, gay stencils, and maybe if you're teaching in Saudi Arabia, where there are no gay rights, maybe that would be very controversial and not suitable. So we always need to check what audience we're communicating with. So that's what we do as teachers. We adapt the material to our class, to our learners, to our context, of course. So let's choose carefully, definitely. I think this one is okay though. So for example, how relevant is his work? How many people know about this? Do they agree with the points he makes? It's very controversial. Also, you may need higher levels not to misinterpret your lesson. So, for example, this work is somewhat different to what we see now, but again has loads of questions that can be asked. What's the message behind this? I particularly like this. The old ladies with punks not dead. I love it. How is it different to what we normally see? Can they see the underlying British humour? And then we can teach a little bit of culture as well. So we need to assess what type of learners we're dealing with, but also it might be a good teaching opportunity for them to be able to open their mind. Let me check the chat again. Uh, yeah, Antonella, I agree. And it depends on the type of institution we work for, different regulations, different type of learners we have, parents we need to deal with. Of course, we always need to bear these things in mind. Now, irony plays a huge part in Banksy's work. So some might not be suitable, but for example, these pieces here are very suitable for all teenagers. Let's take a look. I mean, they're quite funny, and I think they'll get the hint because they're very straightforward. So these are quite a nice selection, I would say. You can get them to talk about them and prepare a presentation on irony in art. And again, depending on your students, your learners, you can ask them to create one themselves. I'm always surprised by how creative teenagers can be in the classroom. And when I encourage them to do so, when they have to come up with a meme in English or a TikTok video in English, they're quite creative and I just find them incredibly witty and clever when they do these things. Again, there is a worksheet in a handout that you can use and of course tweak and change according to your learners and to your teaching context. Um, Lovely. For older students, you can connect the CCTV graffiti to Orwell. What a fantastic idea. I really like that already. I might actually do that myself. Not much is known about the artist, but one of the most popular news stories about them is the following. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Have a class discussion on whether they know what happened. So remember, Banksy 6, auction record with £18.5 million. Sale of shredded painting, Lovers in the Bin. Remains of artist's live destruction of girl with balloons sells for many time its guide price. Okay. Let's watch the video. I think I'm going to have to stop sharing because I don't have my audio. Give me a second and I'll do it again. Please bear with me. Sorry. So I'll do it in a second. Sorry about this. Just give me 1 second and I will share this with you. Okay, lovely. I'm not sure you can see it. Again, I think this is not working today. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. Give me a second. Okay, no, not that. Okay, so let me do this again. And then just bear with me, please. Really sorry about this tech issue. I hope everything is ready now. Let's take a look. So, what do you make of this? No audio. Oh, I'm so sorry. I tried to share it. But basically, you saw that the piece of work basically shredded. So you can show the students the following video. It is in the handout. And then talk about their reaction and why they think he pulled the stunt. He actually inserted a mechanism in the artwork so that it would destroy itself. So what would happen if that was done to the Mona Lisa? I don't even want to think about that. You know the story, fantastic. I always think this is a great story to tell kids and teenagers, especially. They love it. So let's look at the language from street art. Thank you very much for your patience and thanks a lot for your support. Thank you. With the tech issues and the sound and all that. I really apologize for that. So slang, we know what slang is. Teenagers, students, they love to learn slang because it's a way they can communicate to other teenagers. I keep trying to keep up with slang because I'm much older than the students. So basically, for me, it's a matter of looking at what slang is in fashion. Basically, because some of the words I use as slang are no longer used, so they will not understand them. So they might be existing words that are used in a new sense. Okay. And for example, this is quite an interesting story. The words clever and naughty, they originated from slang and then they became words. This is what happens to language in action when people use language. And in the 18th century, the word slang described the language of criminals. But today, it's just basically to be able to seem normal, up to date, fun, and to impress other teenagers and communicate with them. So students love this, and I love teaching it. So, for example, does anyone know what the following mean or stand for? Please tell us in the chat. Chat. What's the meaning of chat? JS. Okay, what is the meaning of that? Talking about the advances in art can lead on to the changes in the English language and the introduction of more colloquial terms. Okay. As we're such a digital society now, it's also worth looking at some abbreviations and acronyms that can often be found on social media. Set your students a challenge of researching these words and acronyms. Let's see what's in the chat. Proud. So just so you know, well done. Okay, so we've got this that we can see in street art. We can give them these words, ask them to find the meaning, and then we can even get them to chat to each other on WhatsApp and use it. So, oh, sorry. Great. So well done. Chuffed is a northern word. It's not a southern word. I would never use it. Used to say one is very pleased with themselves. Exactly, I'm proud of myself. And just so you know, well done. Okay, so with this, we have come to the end of today's session. And as our conclusion, let's recap. Art can be used to start discussions and really get your students talking. And to start discussion means to activate critical thinking, which is also important in the classroom. Looking at the themes helps them understand the culture of the artist in question. So we can get to know about history, social movements, geography, the words they use, a lot of different things around the artwork, and especially with graffiti, which is in the street and is part of everyday culture. The evolution of art can be related to the evolution of English, and these can help your students expand their vocabulary, of course, and they will need it, they will want it, which is the most important thing. And again, Banksy will never be a dull topic of conversation. As you said, let's assess our learners and see whether they're ready to deal with the material, whether we can facilitate, whether we need to choose the material we give them, of course. So any suggestions? We have many ideas for future webinars, but please, we welcome your ideas always to work on things that you may need to have ready for your next class and try out, and then for us to research about and do a little bit of work ourselves. And if you have some ideas for future sessions, please let us know in the chat now. Thank you very much, everybody, for your attention today. And special thanks to Francesca Tamani. I hope I did a good job with your material, Francesca. It's been a great pleasure to go over it, look at it, and try to expand and see how we can use it in the classroom from also a different perspective of a different teacher. And she originally created the first version of these webinar. So thanks again. You will receive a certificate of participation via email soon. And if you don't, please get in touch with us at formazione@mlaworld.com if you do not receive it. Okay. There is an accompanying handout containing the text and the links, including links to the images used in this webinar. So it will be in the email along with your certificates. And our next webinar will be next week, Thursday, 18th of April, same time, on Earth Day in the English classroom. And we hope you join us again and that this has been useful and interesting for everybody. I have taken a note of future webinars on English modern writers. Thank you very much, Tiziana. We'll take a look at that and see if we can come up with something. Thanks a lot again for your attention and being with me today here. And have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.